And with that, we should be live. Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I am joined by Vector Maximus and Darkest Light. And we are back from a bit of an absence. It's a little. Oh, this is the wrong page. Oh, no, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about this, which is the disease. Yes, and it's rather appropriate because we have not been doing a few for the last bit because I have had the sick, and I still am a bit sick, though it's not bad enough for me to not talk. So, shall we get started and understand how the Black Death actually works in diseases in general? Mind you, Dark and Vector have already read this, and I'm sure many of you who will see this already have as well. I'm so sorry for being late. But let us begin. This week we shall talk about the disease system. So they've got an image here of the Russian principalities as well as the Golden Horde, showing them all because they are all the most affected countries of this particular smallpox outbreak. And it appears that even a random outbreak of smallpox can be rather terrifying because, mind you, the Golden Horde is a really big place, but still, 210,000 people in the Golden Horde alone is a large number of people to be dead now. Oops. And I doubt that the Principality of Murom, whatever that is, can afford to lose 13K either. We have two types of diseases. Environmental, which does not spread through the movement of trade nor movement of people, and those that spread. Environmental. There's diseases that don't spread? What? What does that mean? Do you guys understand that?
Which does not spread through movement of trade nor movement of people, and those that spread through movement of trade and movement of people. So essentially, one will kind of stay in a location, but it won't be carried by traders. So, like if you have an outbreak of the sniffles, it's not going to become endemic and pass down the trade routes. It'll stay in a general location, whereas bubonic plague will be carried on trade, essentially.
I see.
That was how I read it.
That does make sense. Which is to represent more like the ones where once you've caught it, you get the effects of it really quick, so it's much harder for it to spread. And then bubonic plague, yeah, it will spread along trade routes because people don't necessarily know they've got it until it's too late. Yo, am I too late? No, not at all. In fact, you're the first person to comment on this stream so far. We've only been going for a couple of minutes now, just explaining the beginning premise of how the diseases work, which is that there are two sorts. There's the types that spread along trade routes, and the ones that more pick a general region and hang out there. Well, a disease does not just infect the pops in a location, it can also infect armies. Oh, God. Oh, no.
You ready for the attrition?
No, I don't.
Hurling the dead cows.
No. Be me when EU4 siege progress just has disease outbreak and it's just like just kill a bunch of your dudes randomly. Meanwhile, the EU5 disease outbreak actually just causes the whole countryside to die of the sniffles. Well, that's very interesting. Each disease has many different attributes, all of which can be complex calculations, and this is a very flexible system, entirely modeled through script. A chance for it to spawn each month. How often the disease processes, how fast it ticks. Oh, you can have ones that tick faster or slower. Oh. And how quickly it spreads to other pops. How quickly it spreads between locations and pops. How quickly it stagnates in a location. And how many pops or soldiers die or become resistant each tick? And how many pops and or soldiers die each tick of the above? And the mortality for characters, specifically, how quickly resistances decay, and how much presence is needed before it spreads to adjacent locations. If you want specific pop types affected and more, well, that is very curious. Uh, that seemingly answers a question that we'd been having. Where we were curious if it was something you could decide whether certain pops are affected more or less by it. So and this is only a start. There's more. Um, so it seems like there's going to be a very, very large amount of modability for this, which is great because we shall be able to invent all our own beautiful, wondrous diseases. Um, yes. Dark, I know you were hoping to make some that only affect the scaly boys. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is interesting. Perhaps you can choose specifically like regions that they can appear in as well, because that would be interesting for creating some that can only appear within certain areas. That could be fun. When diseases are present in a location, the resistance to it builds up, making further outbreaks less effective. Pops, locations, and subunits can have resistances, so if pops move around, they can bring diseases they have with them that they themselves are immune to. Likewise, a unit carrying a disease may spread it to locations they travel through. So there's gonna be, once the game is out, there's gonna be some sort of challenge where someone attempts to infect the most amount of people with the Black Death possible, where they like use armies to like spread it to random places.
Well, to like get it to go to sub-Saharan Africa and such.
Yeah. There's got to be a way that yeah,
If
you
my
got to do it
memory's
as
right,
Molly.
largely escaped the Black Death in real life, but yeah.
But they shall not escape in this game because I, as Molly, am going to yoink it from North Africa. I shall obtain it and bring it south. This will totally help with the collapse of the Molly, right? The Black Death. I'm sure that will help everyone out a lot with that. Uh, But yeah, diseases. So there's resistances to all these different plagues. There's a big smallpox outbreaks here, but the resistance is already nice. So, huh. What causes them to get resistance? Because there's this one. I don't know what the blood one is, but there's a blood one that's already entirely immune. Everyone in this city is immune.
Oh, it tells you what that is. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm very curious about that then. Biowar, yes, yes. As Vector had said, throw the diseased cows. The new world will be the most infected. I am sure that once we get to talking about the new world, that I'm sure that there will be a discussion here about the new world and how they're going to implode once they make contact with Europeans. But we shall see. Great pestilence. Okay. All right. So, the different diseases. We got the bubonic plague. With the default option, this will happen in 1346, starting somewhere in Central Asia, spreading throughout the Old World. It spreads relatively quickly, and the mortality rate for pops is between 30 to 60%. A great pestilence that sweeps through busy trade routes, sparing neither the low nor the high. Those infected suffer black swellings in the groin and armpits, terrible fever, and death. Some believe it is carried by the vermin that scurry in our streets and fields, spreading foul sickness from one poor soul to another. But that's probably not actually true, but yeah, that's what people believed. The Great Pestilence. This will spawn in the New World. Oh, it's a specific fuck you button that they invented for the New
Yeah,
World.
it's essentially the evil cocktail of like the dozen plus diseases that hit the Americas all at once. So, yeah.
Ah, ah, ah.
This
So,
has a gigantic mortality effect, killing between 75 to 90% of all pops.
yeah, there's a reason they called it the Great Dying. Oh, that's gonna be horrible.
Oh, you are having fun existing? Time to die.
I doubt there's any way that you can stop this from killing your pops either. Up to 90% of your country and your whole royal family. Most likely your whole family, your whole royal family is just gonna die. They will just all be gone because of this disease rocking through your country, whoever you're playing. Uh I don't I don't know. I highly doubt there's any way that you'll be able to reduce this, but if there isn't, that's gonna be horrifying. Huh. Terrible news reaches us from abroad. Misery and plague sweeps the land, and death runs with them, apparently brought by a mysterious bearded foreigners. This plague is not something our elders have ever heard of, and no answers in our ancestors' memories could help us face the catastrophe if it reaches our settlements. Will our people perish, or will we somehow resist when this walking death reaches us? Yet somehow? I don't know how you could possibly hope to. Oh boy. Well, I get maybe we'll see some options that you can do to resist it, but I highly doubt that there will be such a way. Malaria. I assume that this is. Oh! Oh, this is awesome. So this is what the. Oh! This is what the like permanently sitting in a place ones are like it means. Okay. I'm actually very glad to know that this exists because I have a couple locations in mind when it comes to our planned mod that I want to stick some permanent death inducing thing. Uh this is a good. I'm sure that this like a concept of the permanently um this like plague that permanently exists in a location is going to be very useful for things other than diseases as well. I'm sure that this could be modded to be like other things that are dangerous in a region, similarly to how in Realms we made the long winter represented by a plague that spreads from certain regions. 12 minutes late. Can you start again from the beginning? I'm sorry, Eric. No. You see, I thought specifically that if we were to skip 2 days, that we were supposed to stream this, and then suddenly started with no warning, we would finally defeat you. But it appears I was wrong. So, hmm, never
Classic
get rid of
Joffrey. Wrong. Incorrect.
him. I was so confident we'd finally be rid of Eric. Eh, this shadow blade cannot be escaped. But this environmental disease that is pretty much permanent in most of sub-Saharan Africa. Most of the local people have limited resistance to it, but any colonizers from abroad will die. There will be regular outbreaks that can kill 10 to 20% of the pops that do not have resistance in a location. The ancient bane of humankind. Malaria is an infectious disease transmitted from person to person by the bite of an infected mosquito. This illness produces chills, headaches, sweating, and a very intense fever that repeats every 3 to 4 days. Oh, that's beautiful. Hmm. But the fact that it's also it's something where the game is coded to be able to check, like they're even specifically checking, like, all right, every X amount of time malaria will spawn in sub-Saharan Africa and regions and spread and the uh yeah it's not a terrible death rate. 10 to 20%. That's not insane, but it's still not great, especially if it regularly happens. So, but again, from a coding standpoint, that's very interesting that it is something that is almost constant in a particular region and does not leave that region for the most part. Typhus. Outbreaks will appear in areas of the old world where one of three types of typhus are endemic. It will also spawn in forest, woods, or jungle locations, spreading from there. Good old ticks. They just this deadly sickness creates, huh? It creates on those stricken by it a great deal of fever, a big red rash that might extend over the entire body, and a confusion of the mind that might get worse to the point of full-on delirium. Those poor souls that reach that point would develop gangrenous lesions and invariably die. Are they really the CK3 icons? This is a CK. I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, they're along similar. They're very similar in style and subject matter, but I don't think they're just copy and paste.
The eye is pretty similar to a CK3 one, but it definitely isn't. And I don't remember if there's a lung one, but there definitely isn't a tick, a mosquito, a drop of blood being held over someone's hand, or the rat. Is the Black Death a rat, or is it just the skull? I think it's just like
It's a full rat.
It is a rat in
I'm pretty sure it's a full rat.
full on rat, full rat gameplay there. Yeah, so take that, Eric. Wrong. Silly.
Yeah,
Influenza will
Black Death.
spawn during winter and spread in a relatively short period of time. It will not appear in the Americas until the Great Pestilence has ravaged the continent fully. Oh, how wonderful! Isn't it beautiful? Once North America has had the Great Pestilence, then it'll be treated to the occasional influenza as well, and measles and other stuff, I believe. It kills.
Yeah, don't you want to do Inca and Aztec first game?
Yes, would be great. Wonderful, even. I bet that the Inca suddenly and the Aztecs suddenly losing 90% of their population will make it a lot easier to colonize their locations. So that's cool. Very, very splendid, honestly. Influenza kills off an average of 1 in 1,000 people, it's not the most lethal of diseases. Known by the common folk as the flu, it is widely spread sickness with usually mild symptoms like a runny nose or a fever in healthy individuals, but that might be extremely dangerous for those that are too young or too old, or already weakened by injury or other malady. Measles. Measles will spawn in most locations around the world, and it's far more likely to spread in towns or cities. It will not appear in the Americas until the Great Pestilence. This one is twice as deadly. It's a whole 2 in 1,000 people that will die. Smallpox. This is a bad one. This is a less than good one. You don't want this. This keeps spawning in most locations around the world, but not in arid or Arctic climates. Oh, that's interesting. Not in arid or Arctic climates. It will spread in a small region and is highly contagious. It's far more likely to spread in locations with a lot of trade, and it will not appear in the Americas until the Great Pestilence. The mortality is between 5 and 30%, so an outbreak where there is low resistance can be deadly. Smallpox is a terrible disease that produces on the sad victim fever, vomits, and finally an enormous amount of liquid-filled blisters that cover their entire body. Yes, yes, wonderful. You gotta pop them all, of course. The outbreak of this plague are very deadly, and those that survive are commonly left blind for life. Beautiful. And then you have CK3, where when you get it, you have you have only a 5% chance of getting blind. Uh, there are ways to reduce the impact of disease in your country. First of all, there are medical advances in most age, and there are also buildings you can make. First, there is the hospital that you can build in any town or city with at least 20 development. This is available at the start of the game for more advanced countries. Yo, I can't wait to build the hospital in Tenochtitlan and solve the great dying, right? They're an advanced country, right? Oh no. Oh, imagine like you start a game as the Aztecs, and you're just thinking to yourself already, all right, I got just over a century. I got just over a century to that I've got free before Europeans start showing up. So I gotta quickly try and rush researching towards hospital. You clearly need to sacrifice to the sun more. Well, if you sacrifice people to the sun, they won't be able to die of the plague. So, hmm? Uh, Now, on top of the fact that the Aztecs wouldn't have the tech for this, there's also the slight issue of the incredibly expensive production methods that they also couldn't really reach. I'm not sure how easily they'd have access to mercury or books, if I'm being honest. Um, oops. God damn it. But you know, the character life expectancy and then the 10% plague resistance, it's really nice. And then after the scientific revolution, yay. After the scientific revolution, you can research the advance for medical schools and build them in your towns or cities. You know, I suspect that if you're playing as a New World country, you probably want to have the Great Pestilence spread to you as quickly as possible. Because the sooner that you get it to happen, the less likely you're to be in danger of being attacked by Europeans right away. So if you just get it to run through your country as soon as possible, then it's not going to happen again. So you'll have diseases show up later as well, but you won't have that chance of just suddenly having upwards of 90% of your country disappear. So your population can start to recover. Uh, that's gonna be so horrible. That sounds like a lot of fun to deal with as a challenge, though, I'm gonna be honest. But yes, you can build a medical school once you have the scientific revolution, which is. What is that resource? Is that honey?
Beeswax?
I don't remember either of those being on the list of resources. Neither natural nor
I
man-made.
believe I thought they'd added wax, but I'm not sure.
I don't recall. Perhaps they did and I missed it. Or forget, rather. You can add to life expectancy quite a bit there if you add a hospital and a medical school. That is a huge plague resistance and life expectancy increase. If you build these in your capital, your characters are going to live a lot longer. Unless of course you built your capital in the Arctic or a jungle, in which case, well, this just counteracts the starting penalty. Next week we'll talk about forming new countries. How does forming new countries work? Surely they will show us the dual monarchy. We must see the Angevin Empire.
Surely.
Beauteous realm that it is. And it must be purple. It has to be that wonderfully delectable shade of purple. Vroom. But with that, we can talk about the Mali flavor, I believe. That was that was a pretty quick one, all things considered. We were able to keep things concise. Hopefully hopefully Vector can keep me concise in this one as well, because from what I have seen, this one is rather long. So
You can do it. I have faith. I
I
mean, in frankness, a lot of the flavor I've noticed thus far is a lot of unique age advances, and personally, my eyes kind of gloss over a bit, and I find they go rather fast.
All
But
right.
yeah, up to you.
In that case, I'm sure that this will not be too difficult. Because yes, Mansa Musa, he's pretty cool. The Mali Empire, it's powerful, not for long. Mansa Musa himself, we see him here, is 57 years old, and he is an incredible character. This man has fantastic stats. Uh, I'm sure they've probably given him one of the intellect traits that make your character get skills faster as they're a kid. But in any case, we don't know when he dies, so he's a starting character, and well, we'll see how long he lives. Hmm. Please consider the UI. Yeah, it's all work in progress. Yes, I get that. But here are the lands of the Mali, and you can see all their little exclaves that are being filled in with the straight crossings, or pathways, whatever they call those. They've got their little blops of oases. Some more fun camera rotations. Yes, yes. Ooh, it's an angle. Wow. Mali starts with one vassal, which is Yolof, minor tribe of Yolof. Oh, that's funny. The minor tribe of Yolof. Is Mali feudal or tribal? I think Mali is feudalism. I I don't think Mali's tribal. I don't. No, never mind. I'm pretty sure Mali is feudalism, but in any case, most people in sub-Saharan Africa do not. I think Mali is the exception. Maybe Kanem, but I'm not sure about them either. Succession law, tribal oldest male. Huh. That's an interesting succession law. Oldest male. That's pretty darn difficult to. Um. Hmm. I'm just curious what other succession laws there might be. Then that's all. That's pretty interesting. They have a +3 opinion of the Mali Empire. Mali collects tribute from Jollof. Hmm. I think the little sun icon there is interesting. Presumably that's their religion specifically, and not just an icon that shows up because it's a religion. Because this is giving me Imperator flashbacks where all religions have the same icon. Mali was tribal years earlier when they were vassals of the Wagadu Empire until they annexed their overlord. So theoretically they still are, is what you mean? That would be so sad. Take a look at some of the government related features of Mali, which can be checked in the estate window. They have one of their 2 reform slots filled, which I guess theoretically we'll see. Yeah, we're going to see what these all do. Hmm. So the Mandim Kurufa. Woo! It's a major reform, which gives you progress towards decentralization. It gives you cultural tradition and stability decay. That's good. That's good. Mind you, the cultural tradition is not as good as the cult, because that's cultural defense. So that's meaning that your culture is harder to convert, but that's not as useful. They're a monarchy in this time. So okay, so they are feudal at this point, but they used to be a tribe when they were a subject, but they have got feudalism now theoretically. They have all estates start with a privilege with the same icon, and it's a similar one made to portray the religious diversity of Mali, a country ruled largely by Mandi-speaking Sunni people, but with a fragmented but tolerant society. So there's protected faith of the Umara, which makes it impossible to convert the noble estate. Oh no. Oh no. Is this going to be a theme the whole country? So you can't convert the noble estate. You can't convert the burghers either. You can only convert the commoners and only slowly. The Amara state has gained religious protections and is therefore exempt from any conversion attempts from the state. This is going to be tough. That is bad. That is less than good because there's a lot of population that needs to be converted, and if there's protections that stop these people from being converted, that is going to be rough. Relig Religions in the Mali Empire. Oh no, and there is the icon is here again. Okay, this is they're doing the imperator thing where they've got an icon that is just showing up for religion. Okay, well that's annoying, but hopefully it doesn't show up literally everywhere. Because previously we'd seen different religions have different icons, and I hope that that remains the case. Uh, well, in any case, religions in the Mali Empire. They are 61% Sunni. Oh, okay. Well, the majority of their country is, in fact, Muslim. So it wouldn't be so bad if you revoke that privilege and start actually converting people. Hmm. The second, or maybe it's not that. Okay, what was the estates? No, it is literally all the estates that have this icon, have this privilege. So you literally cannot convert anyone. That is rough. But actually, now that I think about it, the thing that's not bad about it though is that the new pops generated will typically be of your faith, so that'll be okay at least. The second screenshot comes from a tooltip on the religious panel and shows the religious distribution of the country. We've already done the pagan split, but haven't incorporated feedback. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to see how it ends up. A couple unique privileges for the Umara, the nobility of the country, that may be available later after an event triggers. Okay, so events later that will let you do stuff. Building roads. Oh. Monthly progress towards aristocracy goes up. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad yet, but it might be a personal preference, I imagine, as most of the societal values are. Build gravel road, paven road, modern road. All the roads become 25% cheaper, and trade efficiency goes up. This seems rather good with me. Charged with guarding the northern border. So it's a society. You give the noble estate a privilege that gives them an organization, I guess, that watches the northern border and maintains the roads. That's neat. The office of the Sankar Zuma. More progress towards aristocracy. Market attraction goes up and rebel growth goes down. And this is a legal authority. Legal authority over trade routes. Mali starts with a couple of unique policies enacted. First for the distribution of power estate law, and the others for their levies, military law. Ooh, unique levies. Unique laws for the types of levies they've got. That is very intriguing. But the Gibra, however you'd say, I don't know. Add accepted culture cost goes down. Well, and the culture capacity goes up. That sounds very nice. Um, Mind you, accepting cultures is a bit can be a bit of a trap, of course, because if you accept a culture that's not very large, then that means you're not converting them, uh, and eventually you're gonna probably need to unaccept them and convert them. But The good thing about it is that it allows you to core lands that don't have your primary culture, so that's good. But it also gives you even more progress towards decentralization. Nobles are more satisfied, but the nobles get much power. So the levies, it's a quality law. A full 0.1 monthly progress towards quality, and gives you a huge increase to your noble levy size. So you have some very quality levies. Your much bigger focus as when playing as Molly on levying the nobility. In that case, it probably is a good thing to keep the nobles happy and perhaps work on religiously converting them later. Then again, I don't know. It's really I'm really curious of what the problems you're going to face as Molly are going to be, and as a result, I'm not sure what how soon you'd want to start revoking the religious protection. Uh, or maybe it's possible to just stay religiously tolerant the whole game through, but I kind of doubt it. The army of the empire in its early days was made of 16 clans whose leaders promised to guard the Great Mansa and the Mali state. Translated as the 16 slaves that carry the bow. Those people were the high nobility of the country and serve as commanders of the Malian cavalry. All right. Mali starts with some works of art, including the Mosque of Jen is a great work of art. The Sankor, Sankor Madrasa, so University of Sankor, the Great Mosque. I don't know what this thing mosque is either, but it's in Timbuktu, which is interesting. Um, hmm. I it's very curious to me how a lot of great works, a lot of these like great works of art things are a lot of things that were monuments in EU4 or special buildings in CK3 are works of art. I'm very curious about that. That's interesting. I'll have to consider how to translate that in from a modding standpoint. Um, Surely these all have descriptions if you hover over their name so that people can look at them. And surely if you click on the location that they're based, you'll be able to see them and read the description there as well. I hope so. They've got some unique advances in the Age of Tradition. So they've got the thing that unlocks. They have the advance that unlocks their unique government thing. They have an advance, the Gold of Bur. Yes, Bur is where all that gold was located in CK3 at least. In the age of Renaissance, monthly inflation go down, gold output go up. What more could you ask for? Better gold, better life. In the age of Renaissance, they get a new type of wait, no, this is a type of professional infantry that you recruit. Yes, it's not changed to their levies. The Mandekalu infantry and Mandekalu horsemen, which are both regular regiments. The Mandekalu levies are the backbone of the Malian military. The free men of the empire are called to arms in times of war, and it is a great honor for them to participate in these battles with their own weapons. So it says regular regiment, but theoretically this is an advance that is changing your levy type then. Yes, here are the levy units unlocked by it. Still don't know enough about these numbers. It's all well and good to see these numbers, but until I can compare them to a bunch of other types of troops, this will not help all that much. Though I do believe I might be able to compare this because we've seen the Italians, the Florence we got to see in their flavor video a thing about their Renaissance era levy upgrade. So perhaps Aragon will also have one and we can compare some. That could be interesting. I'll save this image for later. Same with the horsemen. The infantry does not have any modifiers in terrain, but the horse do, and horse get a lot of penalties in a lot of different types of terrain, but in grasslands they are good. No bonus in farmlands though. The Fari Corps. This is in the same era. These refer to the Kari Corps, which is the following advance. Huh. So this is Fari Corps are the elite of the Malian military. Those men are commanders in their own right and are highly respected for their experience and bravery. Well, that's curious because so these levies, right? Yet following regular units. These are the levy units, the Mandekalu infantry. These are levy troops, seemingly. But it's speaking about them. I don't know. This is making them seem like they're. Cause the fact that it says like requirements for construction makes it sound like these are units you're choosing to recruit. Um, and then the Fari Corps, which gives you these Fari units, are described as regular units. So I don't know. I don't know how this works, but I'm also curious about the fact that they have a larger unit size. They have 1,000 men per regiment. And then also have only the same amount of monthly manpower cost, despite being a larger unit. Very curious. Maintenance. How much is their maintenance compared to the infantry? They have the same amount of maintenance. What the heck? So these levies require just a lot more maintenance than these regular infantry. Huh. I'm curious.
FYI, I will need to be heading out on the hour mark, so.
Alright then. Keep that in mind.
Son, we can probably do an Aragon next time.
Yes. Also, they have a unique type of auxiliary regiment for better supply. That sounds nice. And this also increases their infantry power. War drum infantryman. Gosh, what's it? My eye's so itchy. Yeah. Another military advance that unlocks one more unit and two more buildings. So yet another military advance in the Age of Renaissance that gives you more stuff. This is curious though, because this is buildings, and they've got unique artwork for them. I'm pretty sure this looks like something that would be unique for Mali. This looks like a particularly Malian building style, but I'm curious if the GUI is the same or different. The Sofa Stockade and Sofa Barracks, and this you get the Sofa Infantryman. How many different types of units do you unlock in the same goddamn age? That's crazy.
Obviously not enough.
No, not nearly enough. I'm gonna need to mod in like so many. Everyone needs a billion different units you can choose from. Clearly I'm gonna need to look through this at some point and compare all the different units and figure out what's going on here. But the Sofa Barracks gives you manpower, which is good, and it allows you to build the Sofa units and just recruiting regiments in general. So it is a straight upgrade from the old barracks. The Sofa are slave pops. Slaves who were trained in the arts of war so they can serve the state as soldiers. Although they receive their weapons from the Huron, the free men of Mali, it is them who risks their lives in combat. Well, that is curious indeed. And yes, yeah, that's right. It's got the icon. It requires slave pops to work it. Very curious. I wonder what reason you'd have to choose to use the slave troops. What is the advantage of it? I suppose the fact that it's using them instead of free men. Is there some reason that you like are you raiding for slaves somehow? Like how I don't know how you because I don't think Mali is able to do slave raids. I'd imagine maybe they can, and if Mali can slave raid, then I imagine this would be useful because you could raid other people's countries for pops and then bring them back to use as your own soldiers. I guess, yeah, yeah. Can use slaves as military. I guess because you have more troops. Yeah, they're probably cheaper. I imagine, payment wise. They require the same amount of manpower and resources to upkeep, but perhaps they have some other advantages. Though I imagine they have worse morale, probably. There's probably some things that they have that are worse, unless they are elite in some way. The Sofa Stockade is a fort that uses slaves. So the Sofa Stockade is in many ways identical to normal stockades. However, these fortifications are operated by slave soldiers and are made of material native to the Sahel region. Curious, curious. You use clay to build it. That sounds very useful. Honestly, this sounds like a really good building. I like this building. It sounds much better than you having to import stone from elsewhere. The zenith of the Malian Empire. This is some narrative content. The heir is Crown Prince Magan, and he is going to fuck everything up. During the reign of Mansa Musa, Keita, over the Mali Empire, has reached the pinnacle of power in West Africa. Truly blessed by Allah, the great Mansa, has ruled Mali with strength and wisdom, and even has shown the great wealth of the empire to the rest of the world during his Hajj. However, the wheel of fortune cannot turn forever in our favor. Crown Prince Magan Keita has never been of great significance, and the empire is facing social issues with so many diverse cultures present in the state. The only time will tell what might happen to the Mali Empire. May these prospering times find no end. Yes, and yes, Eric. The training slaves as soldiers has never backfired in any society like the Ottomans, ever, or the Mamluks. This has never been a problem for anyone before. Event option, so you just click this button and it gives you legitimacy, prestige, and a shit ton of gold. Mali might become subject to the decline of Mali disaster if the legitimacy or stability is too low while a weak ruler is in power. So,
It's basically Majapahit.
yes. And you are going to need to make sure to keep your legitimacy and stability high. So you're going to have a very difficult time passing any sort of reforms. And that is a problem because your country has a ton of diverse cultures and religions, and you literally cannot convert the religions of anyone in your country until you revoke some reforms. And people are going to be very, very angry if you do that. So you're going to have to crank your stability up very high and then do a lot of work to try and grease the wheels before you revoke any of those reforms. Uh, and you're also probably going to need to have your ministers constantly on improving the legitimacy of your country, which is not going to help because you can't have them on cultural assimilation then. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
essentially for the entire first stage, you either suffer this or you are focused on barely holding on by your
mhm.
finger.
Because you will need to have your entire country bent. The whole will of your nation is just focused on keeping it together, and even then you're just keeping it barely together because you can't be uh you're barely expanding your core territory. It's all just going to be barely
Mhm.
held on to lands. You're curious
Well,
how.
and that's not even assuming that there isn't events for like the rise of Songhai
Mm-hmm. There probably will be.
as a foreign slash external slash internal problem to come knock you down.
Well, before you leave, let's take let's briefly look at some of what these penalties will be, such as okay, that is unacceptable. Yeah, that is an unacceptable penalty. Uh, estate satisfaction minus 50%, stability decay, and monthly legitimacy. So if you let your stability and or legitimacy get low, it's never going back until you fix it. Um,
Yep.
which will require you to have all of these. You need to have either a total population of less than 50,000, you need to have become a just useless wretch of your former self. Uh, or, or you have a population of greater than 70,000, so there's no in between. You need to either ascend out of the problem or
Well,
bottom out.
or rather, essentially, to end it, you need to have a population greater or equal to 700,000. So
Mm-hmm,
essentially, you can't lose a bunch of your core territory.
mm-hmm,
You need to have greater than 15 stability, greater than 90 legitimacy. You need to have a ruler, so I guess you can't be like in an interregnum or
yeah.
anything. And then you can't have any rebels, and you that have higher than 10% progress to rising. And I'm assuming that also counts. You can't have any rebels that have spawned.
That I also like the greater than 15 stability. It's like just have like even any. Just have literally any stability and we're cool. Because the monthly stability decay plus 0.5% is insane. I don't know how you're gonna fix that. And the legitimacy going down, even with your minister on increasing legitimacy, they better be a fucking good. They better be a really damn good uh, minister to be able to help with that. But it is the top of the hour, so if you have to go
I
now,
shall be departing. So best of luck wrapping this up.
thank you, Vector. See you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye, Vector.
Weak rulership, civil wars, the rise of external threats, and internal stagnation are the great challenges the Mali Empire has to face. The stability and security of the empire is in peril, and only a strong hand can lead the state to once former glory. It would trigger a number of nasty events. Oh no. I don't like number of nasty events. A
Too
fragmented
bad.
realm. Oh, and it's showing the ruler of Songhai. No. Many within our ranks seem to believe that our great nation is falling apart. Regional revolts, prospecting pretenders, and harsh weather patterns have led to many speculating that our end is nigh. Adding salt to our wound now, many of our subjects in the Eastern Territories demand their complete independence from our authority after kicking out our local administrators and putting their own local crown representatives to the sword. Harsh terms, but we will accept. Blood is repaid with blood, the cycle of violence. Perhaps it is time for Songhai to rise. So, presumably, you click the default option. There's the canon outcome, as there's the book. Harsh terms will accept. So you just click the default option, which is just Songhai. You accept their existence, or you do the cycle of violence and immediately attack them. You don't let them go. And perhaps it is time for Songhai to rise, where you swap to playing
Play
as them,
Songhai.
which is probably the best option. just don't play Molly, and instead you play Molly at the start, and then as soon like the best option is probably to just start as Molly, build shit in Songhai, put all your money into upgrading Songhai, and then when Molly falls apart, instantly swap to playing Songhai and just be better by clicking the perhaps it's time for Songhai to rise. This event allows you to start playing as Songhai instead of Molly if you select the third option. If you overcome this disaster, you'll get a reward in terms of prestige, stability, etc. We need to do some balance tweaking on it, so there might be more. Well, if there's rewards, then maybe it is better to actually come out the other side. Nonetheless, besides the disaster, you will also get nicer events when playing as Molly. Such as some about the development of Timbuktu. Bolstering Timbuktu? Timbuktu shall be majestic. It moves 15% away from devastation and towards prosperity, gains 5 development, and we gain prestige at the cost of some gold. Beautiful. And that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and next week we will be back to Europe with the Crown of Aragon. And that dev diary is out, but with Vector having flown the coop, we shall be wrapping this up before we get to talk about Aragon this time. So very sad. I'm sorry, folks. But we will have to end this one here. It is just about to reach the hour mark, so it's a decent place as well. So, scroll back up to the top. I will thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!